delivering a vaccine to the nation. And what great timing, right? Dr. Fauci, you know, that guy who the mainstream media just loves to try and pit against the president all the time. Well, he cleared the air about the speed and effectiveness of the vaccine, all thanks to the president's Operation Warp Speed. CDC Director Robert Redfield said that he believes it is important that we actually keep schools open for our kids.
I hear a lot now when we made these announcements this past Monday and then 2 Mondays ago about some reticence of people. Well, did you rush this? Was this too fast? Is it really safe? And is it really efficacious? The process of the speed did not compromise at all safety, nor did it compromise scientific integrity. It was a reflection of the extraordinary scientific advances in these types of vaccines, which allowed us to do things in months that actually took years before. So I really want to settle that concern that people have about that.
Using the data to make decisions in their communities, particularly as relates to K through 12s and institutes of higher learning, these clearly, the data support that it's really important from a public health perspective, both from the pandemic as well as what you'll hear about in a minute, that these schools stay open.
You heard it right there, folks. Kids should go back to school. And maybe Dr. Fauci should call Governor Whitmer and definitely Governor Cuomo in New York and tell them to shut their traps about the vaccine not being safe. Just my opinion. For more discussion on the long-term effects these lockdowns have had on our economy and the mental and physical health of the American public, I'm joined now by professor and fellow from the Independent Institute, Abby Devereaux. Welcome to the show, Ms. Devereaux. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
So I know you've written some pieces on this. We're 8 months in. We still have a bunch of states who just threw down the gauntlet with a whole bunch of new lockdown restrictions, everything from curfews to better not have more than 3 different family households in your house over the weekend. In your research and your writings, what are you finding? Because I got to think that these lockdowns are so detrimental to people's health and our economy that those outweigh the deaths we're seeing from the virus itself.
And that's absolutely what I'm finding personally, and others who have been working on this issue. So the evidence for whether these general quarantines actually work is not supported in the epidemiological literature itself. As of September 2019, a paper was published last year that showed that these kinds of quarantines do not work very well when you have, very infectious diseases that spread very quickly, a large asymptomatic population, and other conditions that COVID checks. COVID checks these boxes. And so general quarantines in general do not work very well, especially for very contagious diseases. Now, when it comes to the costs of lockdown, so like we just heard, school children are going to suffer. So school children suffer in terms of both lost income and also lost life.
So you're a professor, and I hear the term all the time, critical thinking, from folks on college campuses. And they think that folks on the right don't use critical thinking when they think about the coronavirus and these lockdowns. But I look at it the other way. I think that we do use our critical thinking caps, and we look at both sides of the discussion, whether to stay locked down, not stay locked down. Is it constitutional? Is it not constitutional? My humble opinion, it's not constitutional. I'd love to hear your take on that. And then again, looking at the physical, because I know I haven't been to the gym in months, the physical and the mental anguish that people are going through. We are going to have some long-term, years of effects from these draconian-style lockdowns that we can't even foresee right now. And I don't understand why folks on the left won't address that. They just want to fearmonger, stay in, stay in, stay in.
You're absolutely correct. I do think that people on both sides use their reason in order to weigh the costs of what's going on. In terms of constitutionality, we have unfortunately a history of the Supreme Court ruling that we've got issues with the health and welfare clause in state constitutions, and that, for instance, in state constitutions, the general welfare of the public allows a number of of bad sort of laws to go through. So we see this with zoning. This was argued based on infectious disease spread, but really it was a very racist sort of argumentation process. And we see this in terms of the constitutionality of forced vaccination, which itself led to the ruled constitutionality of eugenics and forced sterilization. So that precedent was used directly to argue for the constitutionality of forced sterilization. So when it comes to the toll in terms of life, we have suicide. Thoughts of suicide have gone way up. We have in late June, 25% of young adults were considering suicide with a survey on that. We have cancer diagnoses were dropping. Breast cancer diagnoses have dropped by 50%. That's not because there's less breast cancer out there.
Right.
That's because we're not diagnosing it.
No, everybody's so concerned about coronavirus.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things going on here. Lost years of life due to kids losing, of course, lost income due to schools shutting down. And we have a big toll being placed on people who are in domestic violence situations. Violence in general has increased in August, June and August. Homicides increased 53% year over year, and aggravated assault 14% year over year. So there are a great deal of health trade-offs, and we haven't even started talking about the economic trade-offs.
And and we never have enough time. Professor Devereaux, they're giving me the wrap. We got about 30 seconds here, but can you hit on it briefly, the economic long-term impacts of these lockdowns?
So the low-income people are being hit the worst. Women are being hit next. So this is what we're going to see long-term.
So bottom line is, we've got to reopen. Every one of these states that continues to do this, these governors that think they are, I don't know what they think they are. And it's probably words I couldn't use on the air. But we've got to stop. We've got to reopen. You heard the CDC director say it's better for the kids. Your investigating, your reporting, your research as a professor proves it. That is bad for families. That is bad for our economy. It's bad for all of our overall health. Professor Abby Devereaux, thank you for coming on Real America. We really appreciate it. Have a terrific weekend.
Thanks.
Stay healthy. After the break, time to get real. Don't go away.